Hey, Archbishop Viganò, Carlo Maria Viganò,
Yep.
he weighed in on the
did.
canonical sanctions imposed on Father Frank Pavone, who, again, he's the national director of the Priests for Life, the largest pro-life ministry in the Catholic Church. He's a well-known pro-life activist, and he's been dismissed from the clerical state for the accusations are blasphemous communications and persistent disobedience to his diocesan bishop. Here's what Viganò says. These are his words, Archbishop Viganò on Father Frank Pavone's situation, quote, "So we are taught by scholastic philosophy the action of every being depends on the nature of that being. It follows that a person's actions are consistent with who that person is. We find confirmation of this principle of ontology in the canonical sanctions recently opposed by the Holy See on Father Frank Pavone, a well-known and appreciated pro-life priest, who for decades has been committed to the battle against the horrible crime of abortion. If a Roman dicastery decides to electrocute a priest with reduction to the lay state, accusing him of blasphemy, and preventing him from having the ability to defend himself legally in a canonical trial, and if, at the same time, analogous decisions are not taken with regard to notorious, heretical, corrupt, and fornicating clergy,
Great point.
it is not out of place to ask if such a persecutory action reveals a persecutory mind, and if an action against a good priest who has worked strenuously to oppose abortion reveals the hatred of the persecutor with regard to the good of the good illegitimate punishment becomes all the more hateful the closer we come to Holy Christmas. If we consider that by the killing of innocent children, the enemy of the human race wants to kill the infant king, he writes about Pope Francis. He says that Pope Francis eclipses the Catholic Church, or Pope Francis's papacy eclipses the Catholic Church with its arrogant occupation of leadership posts and scandalously abuses its authority for a purpose opposed to that for which our Lord, the head of the church, has intended it. There is no area of doctrine, morals, discipline, or liturgy that has not been the object of its vandalizing
I agree
action."
with you. Jesse, he's pointing out something that is a fact. It's a very sad fact, but it's a fact.
Nothing is being saved of the little that remained after 60 years of systemic demolition through the work of the Second Vatican Council, and that which survives as a crumbling reminder of the glory of days gone by is under the constant threat of new and worse devastation. It is therefore evident that the Roman Sanhedrin, whose work baffles even the most cautious interpreters of Vatican affairs, has a purpose of persecuting the good and promoting evildoers. Strong line, Terry. Mm-hmm. The case of the cancellation of Father Pavone is the umpteenth demonstration that this purpose is being carried out with ferocious obstinacy, both in order to feed a climate of terror among the clergy so as to constrain them into servile and fearful obedience, and also to create disorientation and scandal among the faithful and others who still look to the church as a moral point of reference. All of this is happening at the same time that the Jesuit priest Marco Ivan Rupnik, on whom a sentence is pending for very serious canonical crimes that carry with them the punishment of excommunication, lete sententia, has his canonical penalty remitted by his Jesuit confrere, the Pope, and companion who lives in Santa Marta. And while the Roman Curia is infested with unpresentable characters who are notoriously corrupt and heretical sodomites and fornicators, he says, Bergoglian acolytes, Pope Francis' acolytes, are distinguished in this manner. The graver their crimes, the more prestigious the positions they hold. In the face of this violation of the most elementary of principles of justice and governmental prudence, as well as the blatant determination of the highest levels of the hierarchy to act contra mentem legis, which means contrary to rational law, it is necessary that the cardinals and bishops understand the very serious consequences of their complicit silence, and that they courageously raise their voices in defense of the healthy part of the ecclesial body This duty is imposed by respect for the Catholic truth, which has been violated. The honor of Holy Mother Church, who has been humiliated by her own prelates, and the eternal salvation of souls, which has been endangered by the words and actions of evil shepherds who are usurping an authority that does not belong to them, but rather to Christ the King and High Priest, the head of the mystical body. If serving the church and defending the life of innocent creatures in this time of apostasy constitutes a crime worthy of dismissal from the clerical state, while promoting abortion and gender ideology and violating consecrated virgins,
he's thinking it nice.
Is not deemed liable to excommunication, then Father Pavone ought to consider this. Then Father Pavone ought to consider the shameful Vatican decision to be a source of pride, recalling our Lord's words. Yes, how can we forget our Lord's words? He says in Matthew 5:11. Blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter every manner of evil against you falsely because of me. Close quote. And whoever is inculpated themselves as an accomplice of this persecution against the good ought to tremble at the thought of the judgment which awaits them. God is not mocked. Galatians 6:7. Archbishop Carlo Maria Viganò.
I would also add something. Father Frank had a Christmas message on his website. I'd encourage people to go to Priest for Life and listen to that. But I want to make two big points, Jess. One, if the bishop had demanded Father Frank to go to a parish in his diocese, he's the legitimate authority, to go there and not be the full-time into pro-life work, the bishop has a right to do that. Now, he's going to have to answer as his judgment seat of, was I prudent in doing that? Probably not, I wouldn't think. But I remember when Fulton Sheen was a newly ordained priest. It's in his autobiography, Treasure and Clay. And the bishop sent this newly ordained priest, Bishop Sheen, to a little parish with 50 families and everybody was saying, oh, Bishop, that's a bad move. Why would you do that? Why would you come on, he's got so many things he could do to help the church. And the first year of Bishop Sheen's work was at a local small parish. And then the bishop called him in and said, you know what? I'm going to move you to Washington, D.C. to do the work there at the Catholic U, and you're going to teach, and you're going to have a big responsibility. And he said, I just sent you to that little parish to see if you'd obey. Now, obey is important. I mean, Father Frank mentions that Padre Pio was censored for like 14 years without being able to say Mass. And the church has a right to do that. Now, is it prudent? No, like Archbishop Viganò just pointed out, it's not consistent. Look at it this way, Jess. You got a father and you got a mother, and you got two kids. One kid goes and steals some 5 cents worth of candy at the 10-dime time store. And you go, okay, Junior, hey, you're going to be punished for this. And he gets punished. And then the other kid goes in and goes to the National Bank and steals $200 million. And what happens? Oh, that's all right. You still sit, you're okay. I don't want to do anything to you. You're okay. See, the analogy is it doesn't equate with what's going on in the church today. Father Frank Pavone, if he's disobedient, he has to reconcile that with his bishop. But when you've got people doing, Jesse, I can't even describe what they're doing on the radio because it would be too offensive to hear. But they're not getting censored at all. They're getting upgrades, okay? So it's just, I look everything at as a family. And our family right now is messed up because, and I'll just be honest with you, Jess, the father is not doing what he should be doing in ordering the children to do the things that are going to get them closer to God and not further away. I said it.
That's right, Terry. And
that's how I see it.
I don't know about, I'm going to question the pro-life credentials right now of the current Roman Curie. I'll tell you why.
Oh, it's a good question.
Here's a couple of articles I have. Yeah. Pope Francis has removed every single member of the Vatican Pro-Life Academy, the Pontifical Academy for Life, which is long a bastion of orthodoxy at the Vatican, put there by John Paul II and Pope Benedict, has been effectively shut down. That's an article from Lifeside News.
Yeah,
here's another one.
Volumes.
Vatican to contribute to pro-abortion World Health Organization. The Holy See will contribute to the World Health Organization emergency fund money for the supply of personal protective equipment to frontline medical workers. Here's another one. Vatican pro-abortion member of the Pontifical Academy for Life contributes to dialogue. The Pontifical Academy for Life issued a statement on Wednesday defending the recent appointment of an outspoken advocate for abortion rights on the grounds that members are chosen to contribute to fruitful, interdisciplinary, intercultural, and interreligious dialogue.
That's what I'm talking about.
An Italian-American economist and professor at University College of London, Mariana Mazzotto, was among 7 academics appointed by Pope Francis to serve 5-year terms with the Academy. On several occasions, Professor Mazzucato shared her pro-abortion views on Twitter and spoke against Roe versus Wade.
That's what I'm talking about, Jess.
Well,
You're just supporting my position.
I think the Roman Curia is
questionable.
Soft on the pro-life
You think?
issue.
Well, you know what, Jesse?
They're friends with all these pro-aborts, Terry.
Yeah, you can't be on both sides of the fence.
They're on both. Yeah, they're on both sides of the fence. They'll give pro-life statements, and then they'll give. Then they're very soft and very friendly with these monster pro-abortion people.
All right, can I make it really simple?
Go ahead.
Pavone was a politician in Argentina. Okay, Pope Francis learned everything from him, and he uses the same style that Pavone did. That's all. I read that in several of the books on the Pope. It's just a fact, and this was just demonstrated by you eloquently, my friend. You just showed the facts, and the facts are we need to be praying for our church, our leaders, our Pope, and making reparation for these. I'll call them sacrilegious, and I'll tell you why I call them sacrilegious, because they're supporting the killing of innocent life. That's a sacrilege.
And I'll tell you what's the Pavone style of governing.
Yeah.
It's speaking to.
You say left and I go right.
Yeah, whatever audience is in front of you, you tailor your speech to your audience. Number one,
you nailed it.
And also you rule with an iron fist.
Yep, you
Pope
nailed
Francis rules with an iron fist, and Pope Francis gauges his speech, and it's tailored to his audience.
Well said. That's the Pavone.